So good morning, everybody. This is March 12,
Yes, good morning.
Tuesday. There's some time confusion here, so we have a light attendance. I'm attributing it to the new time in U.S. Mexico did not spring forward yesterday, Monday. Sorry,
Saturday.
did not spring forward on Sunday like the U.S. did. So there's some confusion about the time. Usually we're 2 hours ahead of you, ahead of California or Oregon, but now we're 1 hour ahead. So just go ahead and watch your breath. Lie on your back, knees bent, or you could have your legs up on a chair in static back, which means your back is not doing any, is resting. That's a very nice resting position, actually. Just watching your breath. If you'd like to, you can put your hands, make an L shape with your hand, and put your hand around your rib cage at the bottom of your rib cage and start rib cage breathing. So inhaling, expanding the rib cage from side to side and back to front, and then exhaling, returning to a more neutral position and just repeating that. This is a great movement for posture, rib cage breathing. For posture, respiration. So focusing just on the breath as it moves in the rib cage. Take one more breath. Set an intention for your practice today. I am a student of my body. You could say I'm a student of my movement, my breath. My body is a healing machine. I'm helping my body heal itself. Before we get up off the floor onto a chair, which is next, I want to do a vagus nerve reset a couple times. Just bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. You might want to remove one of the washcloths if you have a washcloth under your head. Put your hands, press your interlaced hands into your occipital ridge, the base of the skull. Press your skull, the base of your skull, into your hands, creating just a little bit of resistance here. Close your eyes or keep them open. Don't move anything else, but shift your eyes to the right. And wait for an involuntary sigh, gulp, yawn. And when that happens, come back to neutral and shift your eyes to the left. Wait for a swallow, sigh, gulp, or yawn. You're not only resetting the vagus nerve, but you're also resetting some of the cranial nerves, which is a very good environment to create for yourself before you move, before you do any other movement. And do one more right and one more left. So eyes shifting to the right, waiting for a natural, involuntary, or automatic yawn, swallow, sigh, or gulp. And then when you've achieved that, or if you haven't achieved it, you'll just keep practicing it. It'll come. You'll want to do this for homework, though. Go to the other side.
I do it before I fall asleep.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Probably helps you fall asleep,
It
actually.
does. And so I react quicker. That's why.
I can't hear you, June, because you're on the floor and your computer's way up, away from your, or the speaker on your computer is.
I must try to remember that tonight.
Oh,
It does help.
I heard that. I heard you say that.
Yeah, it does help. I get falling asleep.
If this interests you, if this whole vagus nerve, the power of the vagus nerve interests you, I recommend a book by Stanley Rosenberg called Accessing the Healing Power of the Vagus Nerve. It has this movement and some others, a lot of others actually. This is just the basic beginning exercise. Go ahead and wiggle, stretch, hug your knees, do whatever you want to transition from the floor to a chair, a hard bottom chair. And take your time. Do you have a chair, June?
I'll get one.
Okay.
I'll get one. Quickly, like. There's me in my chair.
Good, perfect. Go ahead and sit. Now, Kathy's going to get I think that book you had last week would be perfect.
With the coffee table book? Okay.
The coffee table book. If your legs are shorter than your chair legs,
Like
you'll need some help here, and that's what Kathy's doing. I don't think you will, June, but I don't know that. You're going to figure that out for yourself, and I can't even see what it looks like. So, but what you want is to feel comfortable. You're not stressing or straining, or your ankles and your knees are lined up, and so are your hips. Your hips are directly behind your knees.
Okay.
And then you're going to, for seated good posture, you're going to find that alignment in the ankles, knees, and hips, and then have the shoulders be directly over the hips and the ears directly over the shoulders, or find as close to that as you can get. It's not going to look exactly the same as the next person, but if you can start noticing this and achieving or acquiring this kind of sitting pattern, it's going to help you with your posture. And you should feel as if your spine is lifting up out of the hips or the pelvis, and you're not rounding the tailbone. So you're sitting on your sits bones, not your tailbone. If you wanted to bring your arms up into a cactus pose or a hold up pose, however you want to call this, it's a 90-degree angle at the elbows. You'll feel a piece of information that your body gives you about the optimal openness of the chest. So you don't want it to be too open and you don't want it to be too closed. But you can find it there, and then just drop your arms. Seated good posture. And then I'd like you, before we move forward, just because it's a really nice piece of practice, and I try to add it to almost every practice I have, we're going to do a seated spine twist.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think we need to have you move your chair to the side, Kathy. So all you're going to do is you're going to start with the right scapula. This is a scapular movement and a thoracic or upper back movement. So you're going to move the scapula, right scapula towards the spine, and then put your left hand on top of your right knee, and the left scapula protracts away from the spine. That is your spine twist or your spine rotation. And you could turn your chin to the right.
Yeah, I want you to see my hand. So.
Yeah. So don't use your arms. Don't use your arms at all. The arms are not. So if you think you need to use, do you see how you're using your right shoulder? Let's see. I want you to feel this, and I may be one of the. There's lots of blessings of being online, but I can't always see exactly what's happening. So, but I want you to. So the scapula is moving, but I don't want you to feel like you're moving your arm back behind you. That's the deal. So, armless. Armless, without using your arms, which is using your arms is a more traditional way to spine twist, but without using your arms. Maybe we should call this the armless spine twist. Come on back. This is a pure rotation. It's a pretty small movement. It's all in the spine. The vertebrae are rotating. Left scapula moves toward the spine. The right hand moves to sit on the left knee, and the right scapula protracts or moves away from the spine. So left scapula towards the spine, right scapula away from the spine. That is your rotation. And then you're just going to move your head to the left, chin to the left. You should find some length here too when you're seated. And take a couple breaths and come on back. And do this again one more time. So remember, the right scapula moves toward the spine. The left scapula moves away from the spine. That is your rotation. And you can add actually what is a cervical rotation by moving the chin over towards the right shoulder. Find the length here so that you're maintaining good posture. Come on back, should feel really good. And do the other side. So left side, the left scapula moves towards spine. The right scapula moves away from the spine. That is your spine twist. And the chin can move towards the left shoulder. Take a couple breaths, come on back. Bring your right knee towards your face, towards your chest, and then cross your ankle over. So don't notice that Kathy doesn't cross the ankle until the knee is up quite high so that the rotation is happening in the hip, not the knee. So this protects your knee and rotates your hip, which is a nice pure movement. Sit tall from here. And can you go ahead and hip hinge over your figure four, which is the, so don't round your back. What I'd like you to do, Kathy, actually is get out of this and move your chair around.
I thought so. Okay.
Right. This is seated figure four with a flat back hip hinge. One of the reasons I'm starting to say these names is because you can find these in my library on my website, the handouts about these poses. So here she is, she's done her figure four. Now I want the back is like a broomstick. The movement is at the hip. Can you point to the hip joint, Kathy? Yes, if that's where the movement is. Well, it's a little lower than that's the crease, but it's, it's.
Well, I feel it in my right thigh.
Right. You feel it in your right thigh?
Yeah, the stretch.
Yeah, there is a stretch there. This is a nice one for sciatica or SI joint, unless it's not. So just know you have to be listening to your body. But you're folding forward with your spine as straight as a broomstick. Even your cervical spine. So lift your hip back and your ears back a little bit and drop your chin a little bit so that your cervical spine is in line with your thoracic and lumbar spine. You should feel a really nice stretch across, down the spine.
Yep. Oh,
And then come back up.
woo.
Want to do it again? Go ahead again. Come forward, flat back, hip hinge. No, there's no rounding in the spine.
Oh, God.
I wish I could see you, June. Are you okay?
Yeah, I can really feel it in the hip.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, and if you feel pain in the hip, I want you to just make your movement a little smaller.
It's not a very big movement. I'm not going very far.
Okay, good. That's good. Come on back up.
Okay.
Switch sides.
Ooh.
So can you do this slow-mo, this movement of the leg, Kathy? So she's going to bring her knee up, up, up. Now she's going to cross over here, thinking of the movement being at the, right there at the hip. That's the movement. Now it's a rotation. Then the left knee drops. And now sit up tall. And now flat back, hip hinge.
Whoa.
Remember, so this is lower back work. This is actually a really nice postural work. Just take a couple breaths here, then come back up slowly. You can use your hands to push yourself back up if you want. And then whenever you're ready, go back down again. Flat back, hip hinge with a figure four. So we've added a hip opener, a hip rotation to the flat back hip hinge. Oh, and I forgot. Okay, and go ahead and come back. Switch sides again. Come up into a figure four again. The figure four is that crossed ankle. Take your socks off and shake hands with your foot, with your toes. It's a toe handshake. You're threading your fingers between your toes.
Right.
And see, and try to find, so is this something you want to do with in seated good posture, or maybe you want to do it, do you have a space to do it with a hip hinge? I don't know. This is called stacking, one movement on top of the other.
Oh, am I ever tight on the right side?
Yeah. So it's,
Whoa.
don't hurt yourself, Joan.
Oh,
Pain is not good.
So thread your fingers between your toes. Should feel challenging.
Yep.
And just the threading itself is going to start to stimulate the feet and the toes. And if you want to, you can make a circle or flex and extend. So you can do all of that too.
whoa. Ooh.
And go ahead and do that on the other side as well. Oh, well, wait a minute. Stay there. Stay there. And I want you to take each of your toes one at a time, starting with the big toe, and pull it away from the foot, and then pull it. So that's, and then flex it forward and backward, and adduct it side to side. So pull it side to side, and then twist it as if you were unscrewing a lid,
That kind of hurts.
and then stir it as if it was a spoon, you were stirring something. So for each toe, do that.
Oh, wow.
For each toe. So the first thing you're going to do is pull it, and then you flex and extend forward and back, and then you side to side adduction. Then you twist it as if you're screwing a lid on and off. And then you stir it as if it's a spoon. And then go to the next toe. I cannot emphasize too much how important the toes are and how important it is to pay attention to them. We have been ignoring them for years, but not just ignoring them, we have been confining them. Recently I saw the phrase we're chronic footwear and sock users. And this confines the feet, and they can't do what they were designed to do. So anyway, anything we can do nowadays to pay attention to them is will benefit the entire body. There are some people who think, well, you know, I love Naboso insoles, and the woman who designed those, Emily Spilcher, she thinks that the entire nervous system is affected by the health of our feet. Well, she would probably say the whole body, and then the nervous system, and all of our systems. So if you can spend, you know, a few minutes on this kind of work a couple times a day, you're going to make a big difference in your feet.
Whoa, that was good.
And now switch to the other side. So figure four first, handshake second.
Move my chair again.
Remember while you're here, shaking your hand, shaking your toes, you can make ankle circles. Both directions. Be sure the circling is coming from the ankle. You can flex and point. So the toes come towards your knee and away from your knee. You might even be able to move right and left, side to side. That's harder to do. There's so little range of motion there. And then start working on your toes. All of this is warm-ups for standing, by the way. So we can get to see June. June's face. Big toe first. Remember, you're going to pull on it and then flex and extend. So forward and back. And then side to side. And then twisting it like a screwdriver, like you're screwing, or a lid, and then stirring. So all of those movements for the toe should feel really good. The toes will love you for it. And then go to the next toe and do the same thing. You're pulling on it. You're moving it back and forth and side to side. And then screwing it. So twisting it like you were screwing on a lid, and then stirring it like it was a spoon. Keep going down to the next toe. When we were young, the toes actually worked similarly to the fingers. They spread, they go move up and down of their own accord. But we have confined them so much that they don't move by themselves. You can gradually gain some individual movement of the toes by this kind of work. Before As you finish up with the toes, and before we stand up, go ahead and do a chair child's pose. Just take your time here, but when you're done, I want you to get into a flat back and come forward. But then as you come forward, come all the way forward, and then you've rounded your back just a little bit. Long, it's long, and your arms are hanging. So this is just a transition, a respite. Okay. Flat back, hip hinge. So coming forward. No, don't cross anymore. This is just a resting pose. Come forward. Come forward. Now keep going forward, and your arms are coming forward. Now you can see that there is a little bit of a curvature in the spine, but this should feel really good. If it's hard for you to get this far, you could put a blanket between your chest and your knees, a blanket or a pillow. And you could also cross your arms, fold your arms on your knees. But that's just if you can't get as far as Kathy's getting.
The only reason I can do this is I've done it before.
But it feels good, huh?
Yes, it does. It's a nice stretch.
It's good.
Slowly come back to seated and come up to standing. And stand behind your chair or near a wall, because eventually we're going to balance. And you'll need a safety point. Just stand in good posture. So stacking all those joints, knees, the ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the ears. Look at your feet and see if they're parallel to each other, about hip distance apart. Think of the tripod, the 3 points of the foot, underneath at the bottom of the foot, underneath the big toe, below the big toe, below the little toe, and then in the center of the heel. Think of those spots and try to think of them evenly. Don't focus too much on the big toe. Most of us will tend to focus on the big toe. Just so find your standing good posture, and then find your foot tripod. And see if you're balancing. This gives you some awareness about your feet. Relax that. And then starting on the right side, we're going to do short foot. All I want you to do is, in this position, I want you to press all your toes, the toes, but not the toe mounds. So press just underneath the toenails. Press the toenails or underneath the toenails into the floor as if you're pressing on the buttons. And then release and do that a couple more times. So June, don't get confused by Kathy. She's not standing with parallel feet, but I want you to stand with parallel feet.
The only reason I'm doing that is I'm on a rug.
Right, I know.
So this is long.
This is, yeah, so you're just pressing, there's The only movement is that the toes are pressing into the floor.
Correct.
The only movement that's happening here.
Correct.
And then release. So, and I do it one foot at a time.
Okay.
This short foot, or sometimes I call it a big toe press, except I've increased the number of toes that you're pressing. So short foot, this is the purest, best way to do short foot, which is a very important movement for maintaining or increasing the stability and strength in your foot, in your plantar arch. It's good for posture, gait, balance, walking. It's good for plantar fasciitis. And when you're done with that, I want you to get a therapy ball, a small therapy ball, or a tennis ball if you don't have a therapy ball, or a towel if you don't have that, a small towel. And stand behind your chair and place the therapy ball at your ankles. So basically, you're going to be standing on your toes, lifting your heels with a therapy ball between your ankles, Kathy. Not under your feet, between your ankles. Hey, Kathy, not under your feet. Yeah, it's between your ankles. Now, it might be back a little farther. Yeah. Okay, now holding on to your ball, come up onto your toes.
Oh, I see, like this?
Yes, with the ball between your, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I did. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yep.
And then come on down. Just repeat that about 6 times. Now, I hope you are near a wall or near a chair, June, because you don't want to, this is a balancing movement and you don't want to do it without a safe place to grab onto if you need to.
I have my hands on the top of my chair.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. That's
That's
perfect. So this is obviously more challenging than just a simple toe lift, right?
Right.
I mean, heel lift. Up you go. And so it does all sorts of good things, making connections with your nervous system, the feet, the ankles, the hips, the glutes, the core. You should feel core work here. And now we're going to stop that. So let the ball go. And we're going to do a balancing on one foot. So you need a place, a safe point. So make sure you're near a wall or a chair. Standing on the right foot, taking the toes, the big toe and the next toe, and actually curling it, cupping your Achilles heel with that. So it's not, so yeah, it's there, Kathy, that's much better. Yeah. So actually bend your knees a little bit. and then hook your toe, your foot on the back of your heel, and see if you can stand with no support. And practice this as often as you can. You can practice it at the grocery store behind a cart. Practice, if you want to time it, you can do 30 minutes, 30 seconds,
30 minutes.
60 seconds. So this is a great movement to improve your balance and your walking and your movement. Yep. And if you need to, you can put your hand on a chair, but just barely. So, you're not really pressing. The less you put your hands on something, the more balancing you're practicing. You can actually use your hands to let them move and sway, to let your body sway, because there's an internal balancing mechanism that you're trying to engage and communicate with. So it's not a problem if you start wobbling a little bit. That is actually good news. Go ahead and switch to the other side and do this very same thing on the other side. So bend your knees a little bit, hook your toes, hook your foot around the Achilles heel. Breathe. Nice. And if you had a clock, you could start timing yourself. Work up to 30 seconds, work up to 60 seconds, work up to 2 minutes. Just staying here and breathing and being aware of the power of balance, actually. And then I want you to just come to the floor, stay standing and walk around the room a little bit and see. We've spent a lot of time on feet and balance, and see if you notice any difference from when you came in. Are you standing taller?
My feet feel very flexible.
And you may be much more aware of your feet. And then just find your way under the floor for the closing meditation. Good class, you guys.
Good class, good teacher. Good teacher.
Thank you.
Okay, on the floor.
Lie on the floor. Remember that you're going to may want to put something under your neck.
Purple block.
You can bend your knees, you can extend your legs. Oh, I want you to be warm and comfortable. You could put your legs up the wall, or you could put your legs on a chair, your bent knees on a chair. I'm going to lead you through the 61-point guided meditation, which works deeply on your nervous system to balance subtle energies and increase your mental harmony. It sharpens your concentration and shifts your attention inward. I'm going to guide you systematically to move your attention through internal points as I mention them. Allow your awareness to flow to these points without moving any part of your body. Begin with your breath, breathing in and out. Observing your abdomen as it rises and falls with the gentle flow of your breath. Now bring your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right big thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, right shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, left elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, right ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. This concludes your 61-point guided meditation. Stay here and watch your breath. Notice your body. Start to notice your body. Bring your arms overhead, your legs extended, and stretch in both directions. Wiggle and stretch, right side, left side, like a cat. Hug your right knee to your chest and then your left. And both knees, and walk. You can drop your knees from side to side, roll, rock and roll your knees from side to side. And then roll towards me, towards the camera. Take a couple breaths here. Don't get up too fast. And then whenever you're ready, use your top hand to bring yourself up to seated. Sit in a comfortable seated position. You may need to sit on a blanket or a brick.
I was gonna sit on the chair so maybe you could see me.
Oh,
I
no,
don't think you can.
no. Can't see you. You can also sit in a chair to do this though. Go ahead and bring your hands to your heart. Press your palms together. Lift your occipital ridge, which allows the chin and the nose to drop. Sit tall. We're going to close the class by saying to each other, namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, good class. Good to meet you, Jim.
You too, Kathy.
See you again.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday.
Okay, bye-bye, you guys.
Have a good day.